allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, we have roll call, please.
Sure. Commissioner Anderson. Absent. Moran, present. Carpenter. Curtis.
Present.
Lord.
Present.
Seahafer.
Present.
Chairman Johnson.
Yes, here.
Mike's on.
Mics. All right, everybody got their mics on now? Okay. All right, moving forward, third on the list here is motion to approve the minutes of the Plan Commission from August 26th. And also,
The point where I missed John Cree.
I would like to change one thing. Jim Brown, so it's on page 5, C, I'll make it, I don't even have it pulled up. When it says about it was being, the sentence, it was being delivered, and then we found out from the resident, because he applied for water and sewer. It was not sewer, it was electric, and I think it changes the context of the story. So sewer should be electric.
so are you saying someone misspoke or that?
It was just written in the minutes as sewer, and I think it was just a simple, mistake.
All right. Anybody else have any other corrections or anything?
I believe I sent in a letter that makes a correction.
We have the letter. All right, actually, do we need to move before we discuss this? Yeah, a motion to approve the minutes, I forgot about that. Motion to approve the minutes, first of all.
As amended?
I'll make a motion to
Well,
approve.
before we do that, this is just for discussion at the moment. That'll be where the amendment would come in. Her amendment would be entered. So
No, there's no
I
motion.
gotta help myself. But we should first have a motion to approve in a second, and then do a discussion, and then we'll add the amendments or corrections. And all.
I'll make a motion to approve the meeting minutes of August 26, 2024 as amended.
Well, we're not amending them yet. We haven't entered that yet, okay? We'll enter that once we get into discussion. I'm sorry, I was the one that made the mistake. I should have first called for a motion. And then, do we have a motion, just simply a motion to approve the minutes is what I need at the moment.
As amended.
No, not yet. We're gonna do that in the discussion portion, is where we make our corrections and amendments. That's typical procedure of how you do it. It was my error and all that. I didn't get to a motion right off the top. All right, so I need a motion to approve the minutes.
I'll motion to approve the minutes of the Planning Commission and Zoning Board of Appeals for the meeting of August 26, 2024.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All right. And now, discussion. You have an amendment, Commissioner Barr?
Yes, so basically what I said, should I say it again?
That's fine. If Mr. Brown has it, then we're good with that, if he understands what she put forward.
Yes.
And then we have a letter from Commissioner Seahafer. In this, she's requesting a review of the August 26 minutes to be presented for approval at the September 23rd meeting. Regarding the approval of the August 23 minutes, I have information from Administrator Burchard, who was the previous administrator, that there was no quorum at that meeting. In attendance was Jerry Johnson, Jim McKelvey, Peggy Sue Seahafer, and Denise Bouchard. No quorum would mean no minutes. Joe DeGrew had hoped to be there, but became too ill to attend. With this additional collaborative information, the meeting on August 28-23 should not have had what was suggested by one commissioner at the August 26, 2024 meeting to create minutes. My personal notes and recollection, Minister Bouchard's information, and our current clerk saying no minutes could be found is evidence of how the meeting in question occurred. Therefore, I request a motion of approval to rescind the minutes and accurately reflect that there was no quorum at the August 28, 2023 meeting. Respectfully submitted, Peggy Sue Seahafer, Commissioner, Plan Commission. All right, so that
It's a separate issue.
is something that we can do, but we would need to put it on next month's agenda to go back over those minutes and all, and figure out what went on in light of this new information. What we're doing tonight is just simply approving the minutes of what happened at the last meeting, which was that we had approved those minutes, but we can go back and put on the agenda for the next meeting that this can be considered at that time, so we can then make a formal vote on that in itself, since it's a new topic in effect and all. But thank you for finding out that information. It certainly jives with my vague memory, because we had certainly a time there when we were having trouble getting people to those summer meetings. All right, is there any other?
May I make a
yes,
sen-
any corrections?
oh,
Yes.
It's okay.
Yeah, I
Yes.
just want to, I know that, Commissioner had called me. I remembered a meeting where we stayed and talked quite a while, but it wasn't a meeting.
Right.
We didn't have a quorum, and that had been the meeting.
Yeah.
So I think we were searching for minutes to a meeting that never occurred.
Right.
And that's what we tried to create some minutes, but the point is there was no meeting.
Right, right. So that's where we will go ahead and put that on next month's agenda to get that straightened out and all. And I would suggest too that we do a little further research on what minutes, the meeting that was held prior to the attempted meeting on August 28th. The meetings prior to that, when were they approved? If that can be found.
May I make a
you know, so
suggestion?
That's the thing.
I
Yes,
think what
Commissioner.
could fix this entire issue is because on that agenda from that August meeting that didn't have a quorum, were the approval of the meeting minutes for May 2023. Somehow, and because maybe it was the change of guard stuff going on, I don't know, somehow they got uploaded, that set of minutes, May 2023, got uploaded to the website. But maybe they were not officially,
Yeah.
approved.
could well be.
So to save time, instead of discussing this at the next meeting, maybe we could automatically put on the next agenda to just approve the May 2023 minutes.
With research, can we just confirm that then?
That's,
and do
I've
that?
already on the agenda for that August meeting that may or may not have occurred, was the item
The
to approve
intent,
the
right.
minutes from May. So that is that
Yeah.
would be
And so-
potentially a missing approval.
Unless if they got approved at the following
At the
meeting,
subsequent
The
meeting.
subsequent
Yeah.
meeting.
I
We
don't-
got
I
to
don't think
determine
they
if there
did.
was a September,
So
much
we'll-
less
I'll
October
check
meeting.
that,
So
but
that's
it-
what we need to check
But
out.
Commissioner's correct, it was the May meeting
Right.
that was would have been under consideration at
right.
that August meeting.
Very much so.
So, we can-
Jerry, I did look up subsequent meetings after that, all
Mm-hmm.
the way through October, and there was no approval of May's
All right.
minutes. So unless we're going past,
When was the last
October?
meeting? Was that in September then, or was it in October? The meeting, subsequent meetings, when was the first
I don't know, I
subsequent
was
meeting
going
to
through all-
August? Okay.
all,
Yeah, I know what you mean.
all the paperwork.
All right, okay, well, that puts us, gives us a good lead on those topics, so, very good. Now, as far as any other discussion or amendments or corrections to the minutes from last month? Not hearing any, I'll go ahead and put a motion forward. We can take a vote.
I'd like to make a motion to.
Well, we've got, let's see, we've already had the
Yeah, as
amendment, so now we
amended.
need to do it as amended. All right, to approve as amended, okay, so, Go
The
ahead.
meeting minutes of August 26, 2024 as amended.
I'll second.
we have a second?
Second.
By Commissioner Carpenter, and so let's take a vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All
Aye.
opposed, same sign.
Nay.
All right, one nay, and the rest are positive. So with that, let's move on to the next item here. All right, do we have anyone signed up for public comments tonight that is not related specifically to the zoning public hearing case number 2402? No Nobody wants to make any comments in general? All right.
That's the applicant there. So
That's the applicant. All right, very good.
Swear.
All right. So with that, we can move on to the public hearing, PC ZBA case number 2402. And so with that, we need to swear in all those who wish to speak first. And so, you wish to speak? All right. Please swear in.
Sir, if you wouldn't mind standing and raising your right hand, thank you. Do you swear or affirm that the evidence you shall give to the commission this evening in this action, PC ZBA case number 2402, shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Thank you.
All right. Okay, with that, do we have a motion to convene the public hearing? Who wants to move?
I'll make a motion to do that. Yeah.
Commissioner Byrne moves. Who wants a second?
I'll second.
All right, Commissioner Carpenter seconds. So with that, all in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, say same sign. No opposed, therefore, the public hearing is now open. So with that, why don't we go ahead and have a review of the request, please?
Sure, from staff, yeah, I'd be happy to. So this is a request by the applicant, Mr. Jack Murphy, who's present this evening. He owns the property at 40 West 938 Whitney Road, and this is a request for a variance to exceed the maximum for detached accessory structures. The ordinance would limit the aggregate to 1,800 square feet. The staff report says 1,944 square feet. I will note, I got information from the applicant today.
Yeah.
The architect's sealed plans had a figure that would bring the aggregate up to 2,136. And the difference is that the architect in his calculations included a porch area as part of the footprint. The building is still 30 by 48, and there is a porch or overhang supported by a couple posts, and the architect had included that area in the footprint and the square footage, which brings it up to, which would bring the aggregate with the new cabin, would bring it up to 2,136. Okay, so just to note that our ordinance does not really specify how you calculate footprint, whether that awning or porch area would be considered part of the footprint or not. So be it as it may, I just wanted to mention that. I would suggest that when we make a motion, which we normally make in the positive, that we include that new figure, 2,136. So I'll just note that now. So there is one existing structure, that's just what I was referring to, that is either 1,440 square feet or 1,640 square feet or whatever, roughly. And then the new building is this, I'll call it a Disney cabin, because it came from Disneyland. And it's intended as kind of a playhouse for his children. He can speak more to that and the purpose. At the hearing, when it was open on 26 August, we heard testimony from an HOA president. She said they had not had an official meeting, but there had been some discussions among members. She questioned potential covenants and how this cabin would meet or not meet the covenants. I was directed to go figure that out, and we did a title search, and I'll give you the results of that now. I just got it today. I'm sorry I did not get it to include it in the staff report. But there's a real estate transfer document in here. It's really the only, I think, pertinent thing, and I'll just read a couple of this. It says, this deed is delivered by the grantors. By the way, this is from, I think, 1946. So this deed is delivered by the grantors subject to the following covenants to run with the land, which are restrictive covenants applicable to all lands of the grantors in Campton Township, Kane County, Illinois. And then it gives the legal description, and then we start with the restrictions. No building or other structure shall be erected, moved on, altered, or permitted to remain on any lot within said subdivision that does not comply with the following minimum restrictions. And there are several listed here. I'm only going to go into the ones that might be of interest here or germane to our discussion. And one is the location of these structures cannot be nearer than 60 feet to any front lot line and 30 feet from any side lot line and 20 feet from any rear lot line. No keeping of bees, cattle, workhorses, pigeons, poultry, goats, et cetera. There's other covenants in here, but the one that I just read, the side lot line restriction of 30 feet, our ordinance says 15 feet, okay? So,
10.
we normally, I mean, what we consider is our ordinance. If you want to take the covenants or any testimony that was previously given, it doesn't look like the HOA president is here this evening, you can still take all of that into consideration, but I think strictly we just follow our ordinance, and you can add to that if you want, but that's all, that's what came out of the title search, and
Do you
everything
have-
else is.
Do you have a document number for that?
I can probably, I'll get, let me just go on with my staff report, and
Sure.
I'll look for it here in a second. Lose my train of thought. So, again, to summarize, just a few things from before, this cabin, as I just said, is 15 feet from the lot line, it's farther than 60 feet back. It's on a lot that is 5 acres in size, 5.98, whoever, you know, the plat of survey says 5.0, I think the county GIS says slightly less. It was noted last time that if this lot were 1 square foot larger, then he would meet the zoning requirements, because then his threshold for the aggregate of all the accessory structures would not be in the 1,800 square foot range, but 2,880 square feet. So he, again, 2136, he's still under that, 2880. And that, I think, everything else, the applicant was out chasing a lost dog. I don't know if he found it last time. And you did, okay, good, as I found out later. Good, so I think, there were several questions for the applicant, and I think I can answer any questions if you have, but I think maybe we should hear from him, or if you have any other questions. I mean, this meets every other aspect of our zoning code other than the aggregate for the detached accessory structures. There's no height, no other setback issues.
Are there any questions of staff by the commissioners at the moment?
No questions.
Just the document number.
Yep, I'm gonna
Yeah.
find it now, thanks.
When you're saying that,
Is this
going
a-
by the zoning regulation, which zoning regulation are we going with? Are we going with our original one? Are we going with the one that was passed? Or
We're going with the one that was approved by the village board on January 2023.
2023? Okay, so that's what you're going by?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. As that's a whole separate discussion as to the validity of that zoning ordinance.
I don't think it's a question of validity as much as simply it's the existing ordinance that we have. And there's always opportunities to change any ordinance, any zoning thing through amendments or whatever. So what's being done right now is simply they're looking at ways to either improve verbiage or add or subtract items from the existing code. They'll be recommended or not recommended by this commission that's reviewing the zoning code, put forward in a public hearing, which might be as early as the end of October. I don't know if that's still a realistic date or not. And then, once it goes from that hearing, then does the zoning review commission in effect vote on what the results from their public hearing, and then would recommend it one way or the other to the
There will
village
be a public
trustees?
hearing. You can take into consideration testimony at the public hearing, go back and alter or amend the draft as you see fit, and then ultimately, you will make, the zoning commission will make a recommendation to the village
The
board.
commission that's reviewing,
Yeah, the zoning commission.
all right, the commission that's reviewing it currently, because there is, Because of some legalese, they're calling it also zoning commission.
No.
We're the zoning and planning commission.
Yeah, the zoning
Period.
commission will make the recommendations.
So
for those
we
rules.
would see it before it goes?
No.
No, all right.
It's
So
a
the
zoning
zoning,
commission.
that's, the group that's reviewing the zoning currently is the one that makes the recommendation, as I suggested. And then the village would act on that, either deciding to change, adapt, or whatever. And there might still be one more public hearing at that level, isn't there?
There's not a public hearing, there'll be an agenda item on the village board, and there'll obviously be discussion. I don't know if it goes to committee of the whole first,
Okay.
but there will be
Let me
discussion.
just, because the context of my question really wasn't like what was happening,
Right.
other than just exactly which one we were using.
Right.
Because I know that there had been some legal discussion, recommendations by lawyers saying that the passing of that was not valid.
Well,
And
what is
so-
said and what is recognized are two different things legally, and legally it's recognized currently that we have to act under the code that exists at the moment,
Right, but which code is that? I mean,
the one that was adopted by the village
but if it
board.
wasn't passed legally, how can we recognize it?
It has, it's.
You want to speak,
yeah, go ahead.
Michelle?
Go ahead.
It has not been invalidated, so you would,
So in other words, what you're saying is that based on what happened, a court would have to come in and say, yes, in fact, that's not valid in order for it to be invalid.
that's correct.
Okay, that's what I was just
Yeah.
trying to understand. Thanks.
And so, any other questions or anything?
Can we hear from him
Yes,
first,
we
and
will.
then I
No,
have a
I'm just,
question? Oh,
yes, we will.
Okay.
Okay,
Because
very
he may
good.
answer it.
Certainly. All right, so with that, if we'd have the petitioner, would please step up to the mic and tell us what information you'd like to share with us.
You have to turn it on, please, so it would be on the recording.
There's a little push button there somewhere.
Is it green?
It's not at the base, I take it. There we go. Thank you very much, Commissioner.
Thank you.
Good job.
So I'm a little confused about some of the discussion. It sounds like there's a lot of like internal work in the village as far as making the codes and regulations more conforming for the people that live in the community. James and Holly and Dave were all to the property. They saw what, we were doing there. I talked to both the neighbors within 500 feet of the new accessory structure. The accessory structure is actually a trailer. So it's on wheels. It's not a permanent fixed accessory structure. So, if things didn't go the way I hoped here with the village, I could hook up a truck and haul the thing off tomorrow. So I don't know if that even is qualifying for your vocabulary for a second accessory structured building over the allotted square foot. I did see the last meeting on the YouTube video, so I thought there was some good points. I respect the process. I'm trying to keep the process to code, but it seems like the code isn't very thoughtful or for, of, and by the people, especially the people that are trying to conform to it. So a couple of points from the last meeting I saw, which were very good points. Holly brought up a great point, which is the code is written where I could have a 42,000 square foot primary structure, but then the two accessories with the 5 acres got to be under 1,800. Does that sound like common sense? So I thought that was a good point. Holly brought that up. The other two concerns is, I'm trying to get to know more and more people in the community. one of the big concerns, I think James brought it up too when I got to know him, which is if the second accessory structure on my property is going to be an Airbnb. I had never thought of that to be an Airbnb. So I want to kind of squash that concern. It's not going to be an Airbnb. This is a cabin that came from Disney World. My wife and my kids had visited the resort quite a few times. They started selling them to redo the resort. We thought it'd be great to buy one. It was a spontaneous purchase, came in on a trailer, and I want to do it right. I want to do it right. I want to hook the electric up to it. I want to hook the water up to it. My kids are playing in it. It's a playhouse. I also have a pool. There's no pool house. You know, I have a dog. Call it a dog house. Call it a pool house. Call it a kid's playhouse. I don't care what you call it. So I'm trying to conform to what the village wants me to conform to instead of the opposite. It's like the communities are supposed to be working for the taxpayers and the people, and especially people trying to play by the rules. So I'm trying to play by the rules, but the rules are like a little bit upside down. So I think as the community goes, we should address because here we are 2024, people want to homestead, people want to have animals, people want to have freedom, they want to grow whatever they want to grow, and they want to have animals. So the accessory buildings, they make sense in this age, and there needs to be limits, and I agree with that 100%. But in my instance, I had a very professional first building built by Morton Buildings. They did a great job. It's fabulous, clean. The second structure, Holly saw it, David saw it, James saw it. It's very well professionally clean built. It's not anything that would be like, an eyesore to the community. And I did consult both my neighbors. My neighbors to the west, Bill, and my neighbors to the east, Peter. They both were like, yeah, what's the big deal? What do you need to ask us for? So, the HOA, to James' point, we talked about that last meeting a little bit. The president of my HOA, I didn't even know that I had a HOA, to be honest with you. From 1946, I don't pay dues. We pay a voluntary annual fee for lake maintenance on Campton Lake. The property backs up to Campton Lake. So people that care about the community and the lake have a choice to contribute to lake maintenance. I do. Now, that's not like an HOA like where you find in Florida with all these rules where you can't hang up an American flag. It's nothing like that. And to the point of 15 feet or 30 feet, if that's a separate issue aside from the Village of Campton, like you mentioned last meeting, James. But I thought Campton Hills was 10 feet from property line. So my contractor and I thought, hey, let's put it 15. And so even at 15, I'm opening up a lot of wasted space on one side of my property back in the back of that building. So if the HOA wants me to go 30, that's a separate fight for me with the HOA. And I think you mentioned that last meeting. So there are rules. I'll fight that battle when I go to that, if we go to that. But I think they're being a little more relaxed and reasonable with the situation too. There was another man that came here last meeting. I don't know him, doesn't even live near me. I don't even know that he's a neighbor across the lake. He mentioned something to the point where we should follow the rules. Yeah, we should follow the rules. We should follow the rules with this, and that's what I'm trying to do. But on any given day, and everyone had said, if you had a fraction more of property, we wouldn't be having this discussion. So, and we're talking like a centimeter. So, do we want to split hairs with regular people? We could do that. So, the other point, walking the dog in my neighborhood, I think the other concern with the woman that was here, I think her name's Jane. She said years ago Airbnb. Parents like me, we're constantly trying to be good parents. I do have 8 children, God bless me. My children are great children, and children, like everyone knows here who has children, they want space to be with their friends. They want to play, they want to be safe, they want to do sleepovers, they want to do campfires, they want to play football, they want to swim. So this thought with this accessory structure, which is my personal business, which I'm sharing with y'all, is for my children to have more space with their friends. And they have a right to do that. They have a right to do that. I kind of put, you know, in fairness to the situation, I did put the cart before the horse. I never thought that with the size of the land, that I would have to come before a board and be like, hey, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. Can I please have your permission? I respect the process, but I did put the cart before the horse. I never thought, you know, it was a spontaneous purchase. And I didn't look ahead and say, you know, because I think there was a concern with the last guy who was here, last meeting, said something to that effect. But yeah, I probably should have dug up Campton Hills Code and found out what a second accessory building square footage allotment would have been on 5 acre piece of property. So I'm guilty of that. But other than that, I mean, does anybody have any questions for me about what I'm doing or how I'm trying to do things?
Commissioner Seehafer?
I have one question and then a comment. The question is, I understand that you're talking about taking this building away when you move.
Ma'am, I don't have plans to move. Now, a lot of people, I own a moving company, and a lot of people move out of Illinois probably for reasons like we're in this meeting right now.
Amen.
Now, I have no intention of leaving Illinois because I have young children in school. We're happy with our church. We're happy with our community. Most all people are great here, despite what you hear about Illinois. If we got rid of all the politicians, we'd all be better here. But look, it is what it is. I have no plans to move. But if I did, if for some reason someone here says, hey, you can't do what you're doing, yeah, I like Wyoming. That trailer would come with me because it would be right out with me. Why not?
My comment to you is, having lived here almost 40 years and a very close friend of mine lived down Whitney Road.
Yes.
I love the building you put up, the Morton Building.
Yes.
It's a beautiful property. You've done well with what
Well,
you've
thank
done. I hope you understand that this committee is not here to cause you aggravation. It goes with the property so that future owners, future neighbors, just because you say you could be hit by a bus tomorrow and you not have control over where that property goes or with the building. So we're trying to say it goes with the hardship on the land, not a hardship on you.
Well, that's for your ordinance to judge it, because like I told you, I could wheel it out. So it's not a permanent fixed structured accessory building. So now how you have to approve my variance is up to you. I can't tell you how to do that. I know what I would do, but to your point, I could move it. And if I do move, it would probably come with me.
I don't know how to respond to people future buying that property as to what they're getting.
Well, you
If we're trying to protect
You
the
can't predict
property.
Future, man. You call it a trailer. Because it would go. It's on wheels. It literally, you could set it, you could put the wheels on the axles and take it right off. So, that's what it is.
Is there,
So I can't tell you what, I tell you this, I don't have plans to sell the property yet. We're very happy with things here.
I hope you understand that
I do.
the rules were made so that neighbors could get along with each other, not start bickering with each other
Yeah.
about lot line distances. And if you don't have a law or a ruling or a zoning to say the setback is this or the size is that, you've got to draw the line somewhere.
Well, are we
So-
talking about the setback now? Because on
All I'm saying is that how the zoning laws are, or codes are established. Because Kane County, we're not that far away from where Kane County was. And we're gonna see the difference between Kane County, the 2023, and now. What changes will be made from that point on, and see how changes.
Let me ask you a question. Do you define this as a permanent structure? Do you define it as?
Well, you're telling me it's not if it's on wheels, so is it a?
Then why am I applying for a variance?
That's something that has to be discussed as to what permits he has to have for that. I don't know the answer to that.
Well, I don't know either, and if you don't know, how am I to know?
We depend upon the staff to present, to do the research, to look up what the specifics are with any one particular code. So that's where we're dependent upon that. We're all volunteers here, taking out our time to try to help our community. And the code that was worked upon was not that much different than the Kane County code that was adopted back when we first formed the village. We tried to tighten it.
Does that code, I'm sorry to cut you off, but let's get to it. Does that code clarify what a trailer is and what a permanent accessory structure is? That's the question.
I don't know that.
So this all
Yes.
started with a building permit. It was a building
Right.
permit for water and electricity.
Right.
It cannot be to a trailer. You cannot have water, electricity to
Okay.
the trailer. End of story right
So
there.
if,
That's it. That's why we're here, okay? Because you wanted to go down this path, so that's why we're here, all right? Let's be clear on that, all right? And this notion that somehow it's a trailer and you're gonna leave it as a trailer is new, and that's never come up before. There's always this discussion that this was gonna be put on a permanent foundation.
all right.
That's
That's fine, that's
okay?
fine.
Let's be clear
So,
on that.
yeah, we're sticking with what we have been given in terms of what the desire was. Yeah, that's quite all right. That's quite all right. It's understandable. These are not, a lot of this is quite involved in terms of trying to figure out all these different things and understanding how some of them arose. Some of these were put forward 40 years ago, 50 years ago, and all. So it's quite a history to all the different codes that we have. The main thing is that there is a standing code that says what it does with the accessory structures. So, and you're applying for a variance for our consideration and such, which is only a recommendation that we would give to the village board. We can't approve or disapprove of it, in effect, because the village board is the one that will make the final decision. So we just pass it on to them that we recommend or we don't recommend, in effect. So that's what we're here to try to help with tonight. Does any of the other commissioners have any questions?
I like what you're doing, that's
And
Thank you.
It's a good thing.
Honestly, I'm just trying to do it right and clean
Yeah, yeah.
and not a book. There's no funny business here. It's all, everyone's seen, you're all welcome to come over and see.
So, I do have a question. You said that the HOA has backed off, or however you phrased that, well, they're not here. Have you had any conversation with them at all?
So my neighbor Bill's the treasurer.
Yeah, okay.
I talked with Bill, he, you know, they're elderly, what do we do, you know, like, yeah, no problem. Like, you know, yeah, so hopefully people are coming to their common senses I think, I told you, the concern he thought was, and that came from Bill, which was that I was gonna split my land. And that ain't the case. Was, I think, the HOA, Jane, I thought that was, and I haven't met her or talked to her, but that seemed to be their concern, which is if I was gonna split the lot. Because I think it is a double lot.
I think you could get that approved here too.
I wasn't even going down.
That's what I'm
Yeah.
Can't just do it, so.
Yeah, right, I mean,
yeah. No, all right, so with that, is there any other questions for,
Can I make one
Yes.
more? So in spite of perhaps a slightly pugnacious exchange, the applicant has been very cooperative with staff, and we did look at different ways to what I call get to yes. You know, I would prefer that no one comes in and has to apply for a variance or a special use. You know, I'm not here to make work on myself or on you, or to make homeowners jump through the hoop. And I think it has been pretty cordial, and we looked at several different things, you know, and there's this issue of water hookup to it, electrical hookup to it, locations on, how's it gonna be mounted on a, you know, permanent found. We looked at several options. What do we call this? You know, do we call it a cabin? You know, what is it? You know, and we looked at different ways to get to yes, and there really was not a good way that where if I were questioning the staff, if anyone did a FOIA or anyone came and said, how in the world did that ever get approved, that I could have said with a straight face that it was done other than this process. So, you know, I understand people's, you know, frustration at having to go through this process, but I do want to say it was cordial. I thought it was cordial, and we went back and forth, and he'd suggest something, and I'd have to come back and tell him, no, you bumped into this. You can't do it that way. Let's find, and then we went, and here we are. So that's why we're here. Okay? And like I said, this is 5,000 square feet. If he had been, you know, a half foot over, we wouldn't be here either. But the code says 5,000. I can't waive or amend the code, or I have no leeway in making an administrative adjustment, so we're here.
Now,
And I see
when-
that very strict.
When you
so,
say the code is 5,000,
yeah.
in reference to
5 acres, you mean, right?
Or 5 acres,
5
I'm sorry,
acres,
5 acres.
yes,
5
that's
acres,
what
I'm
I
sorry,
thought
5 acres.
you might
5
mean.
acres. And it is,
And
the
all.
setback, I did
And-
misspeak, the setback is 10 feet. The point is, he's in compliance, he's at 15 feet. He's in a farm. I keep forgetting, he's in, it's actual zone farm. You're
With the, I'm just curious offhand, is there any practicality to lopping off however many square feet that would make it happen? I mean, I'm just curious, you know. No, the building. If the building, because the square footage you said is 2,100, and,
The building came as is.
Yeah, I mean,
It was an as-is structure.
no, I understand that, but remodeling is what I'm saying, you know.
Sir, if you saw it, if you make me remodel it, I'm leaving Illinois. All right?
that
No,
was
I'm not-
actually one of the things that came up in our
Okay,
discussions.
no,
and
I
it
was just
clear that
curious,
that
I was just
when I saw
curious,
pictures of
if it was that close, you know,
interior.
and,
You could maybe buy a square foot of land from his neighbor?
all right. Okay, is there any other questions by the commissioners?
Are we voting on the fact that it's on wheels, not on wheels, on a foundation? Do I have an answer?
Well, the application is for a building permit,
Right, that's what prompted this, and the intention is to
and
put it on.
so that's what's
foundation.
being filed as a building permit. There's nothing to do with the trailer or
Some type
anything
of
like
footing
that,
or
okay?
So we're
All
not
right,
doing
I
mobile-
understand.
Anchored, it's gonna be anchored to the ground.
Yeah,
It's gonna
okay,
be anchored to the ground per the building code.
Yeah.
Whatever
Yeah,
the
okay.
minimum building code is.
all right. Any other
which is not
questions?
on it.
Is there any hardship on the land to justify this?
Well, the definition of variance, and I have been told repeatedly that technically a variance is allowed when there's a hardship on the land. So it has nothing to do with the individuals. If you have a piece of property, and let's say the highway department came along, and they had to take some of your acreage for whatever their needs were, and now your setback line is totally thrown off, and you were, you know, trying to, you know, do something within what had been your setback line, then you're looking at a possible hardship on the property, because the property's been affected, not necessarily whether or not, if I have a certain thing I want to do, if it's, it may be inconvenient to me not to do it, but to others it's not. So that's sort of what the variance technically that I've been told by attorney after attorney in this process is. However, that doesn't mean that we haven't seen variances granted that do not seem to fall under that, too. So would you like to expound on that, since you're here this evening?
No, I think that's a very good explanation that you just gave.
Mr. Chairman, I've been doing a little bit of research on this, and I've been looking at other things, and there's wiggle room, just like you described. There's a lot of wiggle room in the land, the hardship.
All right.
I'd like to make a motion to close the public hearing.
I'll second.
Damn, I wanted a second.
You'll never get your name in the minutes.
And there not being any questions from the audience, since we don't have any additional audience, do we have a motion to close the public hearing so we can further discuss that?
I'll restate, I made the
Mr.
motion to
Carpenter?
You want to?
close
I'm
the,
sorry.
make a motion to close the public hearing.
All right,
I second it.
we have a second. All in favor, please say aye.
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 All opposed, same sign, and the motion carries. So the public hearing is now closed, and now we can discuss it amongst ourselves here.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the zoning variance application to allow accessory structures totaling more than 1,800 square feet at 40 West 938 Whitney. Is that
I'll
enough?
second that.
We have a second, all right. Now, discussion. As far as the addition,
Point of clarification, if I might.
yes, please.
I believe Mr. Brown indicated that it was.
2136.
Thank you. 2136. And so the motion would be up to 2136 then?
Yeah, I think he just
I just
mentioned
read
that
it.
the zoning
I just
threshold.
read it off of here.
Yeah, so the zoning, but I had
To allow
indicated,
for,
so it should be
Oh, I see what you're saying.
2,136. I mean, if we want to include that porch area, that would be, I would prefer the
That'd be good. That'd
variance.
be good to make it.
All right. And so it's largely because,
no, it says, it
That
just
is on
says
the
to
more-
allow more than 1,800. That's,
Well,
Yeah.
You just said, I'm sorry.
it says to allow more than 1,800 square feet.
to
Okay,
exceed,
I'm sorry, I thought you
Yeah.
said.
but said it, but in the motion that was suggested by these,
That's
on
fine.
our paperwork here is up to 1950, so this would be
Yeah,
above that, so we have to phrase it properly.
So I always put the maximum in, just so we pass an ordinance. If we say 1,800 square feet, then someone could come in and keep adding accessory structures because they have a variance to do so. So there's that threshold, the ordinance threshold, and then there's a maximum which is closely related to whatever the size of the accessory structure is. So that's why I'm saying, 2,136
Is there, I've
should be a maximum.
just got a different copy.
Oh,
No,
it's in
I've
the
got the
staff
same.
report. I'm sorry, it's in the
Oh,
staff
okay.
report.
All right,
Can I
so,
ask the attorney a question?
yes, please.
When you have a building that's added to the property, and it is considered real estate, they're being taxed on that property, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so they're being taxed on that structure. So when they go to sell it, if he's already said he's gonna take it with him, how does that relate to the sale of the property? If it goes for the land, that's a hardship on the property when you're taking a building away when you sell it.
Well, if I may, that would be part of disclosure. The real estate
Okay.
would have to be disclosed. It'd be illegal to
You can say you're
remove
taking
property.
anything you want in the sale of a house. You can say,
Yeah,
I'm gonna
but you
tear
have-
this shed down and I'm gonna take it with me.
Yeah,
It would-
you'd have
it
to
would be
clarify
trash.
that. It
Taking
couldn't be,
50-year-old oak tree right there, if you wanna figure out how to move it, you can put that right into the sale.
yeah, so it is a question that would have to be disclosed as to what the individual is buying, so.
It would be a
Now,
contractual
what-
matter
All right, so
between the parties.
So, since the last go-around with all this, I knew it was, looking at 1,950 square feet. And then, because you're putting a roof extension out, is that counted as square footage then, if it's just on two posts, or?
It's unclear of the definition of the footprint of the building, if
Yeah.
it includes overhangs. I think, if I'm correct, is,
And it's
Right,
kind of
that's
a,
why, just make the motion 2,136 or 2,150, and then, we're covered. No one will ever come back, and it's not going to be in dispute, So,
Well,
that was my
okay.
suggestion.
Now-
And I normally, if I were to make a motion, I'd be, 2,136 is the number we have now. Just, for some reason, we find out the Disney cabin is not 504 square feet, it's 506 square feet. And, someone's having a fit because it's 2 square foot over what the ordinance says. So I always provide a little bit of wiggle room. So the motion that I had was in the staff report. I think somehow it got abbreviated on the agenda. But if you want to see it, I show it to you, or maybe Holly can show it to you.
I just would like to take a vote on approving.
Yeah.
Whatever it is we're approving, basically.
So,
Now, would that, but at the same time, if the overhang is included, then you should be able to do decking underneath, I would presume?
If you got a building permit for it, fine, yeah.
I mean, would that be impacted?
Yeah, I mean, it's just like a little porch there,
Yeah.
yeah. I wouldn't get too wound up in,
I think that's a tactic used commonly.
Oh, I thought you were talking about adding one on.
because you could get a little
All right.
more roof
So it was
space.
it's already on it.
It's just a little awning.
It's already
Yeah,
there.
I mean, yeah.
Okay.
But you're not infringing on distance to
All
your
right.
lot line and making
Yeah.
it closer.
no, that's on,
It's on the other side.
Coming toward you.
This is the other,
Right,
and that's to the side of the
Right.
May,
That's not it.
so it's not an interference.
if we're not gonna take a vote right this second, because I'm in favor for doing that, I do have something to say.
Oh, yes, please, we're in discussion.
So, the house was built in 1949. The covenants, are extremely dated. I'm not sure, but a lot of covenants in that general area, I'm not sure about the document you found in the title search, but a lot of covenants around that area in that time also say that black people can't live
Yeah,
there.
that's in these.
Yeah,
Yeah,
oh, it's in that
that's-
one.
Yeah, no,
So,
it's in
beca-
that,
okay,
it's not
good.
legal.
So I'm really
It's
glad
not
that they,
legal.
I'm extremely glad that it is in that then, because I was already familiar with this then. They've been deemed null and void in the state of Illinois, basically, and anywhere it's gone to court. You're good. They're not gonna be able to sue you. Plus, I'd like to also bring up that the front of your house is
Commissioner
51
Byrne,
feet from the
I-
street,
Commissioner
not
Byrne,
60.
Commissioner Byrne, we're not giving any legal advice. So do
Oh,
not say
well,
what you said.
okay, well,
And all.
Resident
And-
moron
and-
told you that,
And from,
so, okay.
I've also run across a case where, although things have been that in covenants that are that old,
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't make the entire covenants illegal. It's just the specific
Okay.
thing like that that is not enforceable or anything like
Sure,
that.
sure.
You know, so.
So, yeah, and I also just did a measurement on the GIS, based on the 60 feet, you said, from the front lot line, Mr. Brown? Is that what you said? 60 feet from the front lot line? The house itself is 51 feet from the street. Nobody's come after him since 1949 for that. And the Morton building that he has is only approximately 13 feet from the side lot line. The HOA didn't have an issue with that at the time. I think that's a private fight. I also think that a lot of people are confused about covenants. It's private. The village has absolutely, it's none of our beeswax, to be quite honest. I also, just to put this on the record, I started looking on the GIS map today at other people's houses all within Kings Mill. I stopped after 7 houses that were like almost all in a row. 15 feet from a lot line, 13 feet, 21 feet, 13 feet. A couple of the properties actually have buildings that are over their lot lines. So anyways, I just stopped, making a list.
Well, as far as covenants are concerned, covenants are of interest specifically to the homeowners association, the people who live there, and as long as their regulations are not, we enforce our standards, okay? And our standards are what we've said. And so with that, it doesn't matter if the homeowners association, anything we approve, or anything we approve of has no bearing on what a homeowners association may decide to do or not to do. If it's not as strict as they would like, then it's up to the homeowners to deal with the situation. It has no bearing with us in itself. We just have to worry about what our standards are for the village of Campton Hills.
Why was our officer directed to find out those covenants then, if that's not our concern?
Because at the last meeting, there was a woman here that was she president?
She identified herself as
Yeah,
president.
so we wanted to, find out what her situation was. Was she, going to be, was this of a concern to
But
them or not?
But quite honestly, and no offense to anybody, it doesn't matter. It didn't matter, like several of us stated at that meeting last time, so, that's it.
Thank you.
can I make a
Any other
comment to that?
questions, please?
I think from the point, it doesn't matter from the standpoint that they're an HOA, that aspect we don't care about. We would only care about them as a concerned citizen. We would recognize them as that, not as an HOA. Sure. And so we would recognize that aspect. And to that point, I think what Holly is bringing up is, as a concerned citizen, we would look at the neighborhood and say, is this consistent with this, with the way the neighborhood is? And if it's consistent with the neighborhood, then their concerns are kind of hard to accept.
Has it found to been consistent?
Well, she was just saying that that was what she was finding.
Has the other research, or Holly was the investigator, was there another investigation?
I would,
No.
I just did this in my spare time today.
Yeah. And I think the other point that I would have is I know those comments were coming from people across the lake, and
762 feet away from the point of the
Yeah.
cabin and 927 feet away
Yeah.
from the cabin, yeah.
so I don't think they can see the cabin from
No.
their vantage point, so I'm not sure how that would negatively impact them.
people are going to express what their concerns are for their
No,
community.
I understand that, and I accept their expression. I was just putting their expression
I
in
mean, if you had
context.
somebody here that was very concerned with us maintaining a specific zoning code, we'd have to consider that very much as well, you know?
Sure,
So
sure.
it's not just here for, okay, we can vary this or that, but, you know. So anyhow, but that's not germane at this point. Is there any other questions, comments, or anything? All right, we had a motion on the floor to approve up to 2,136 square feet? Okay, all right, so that's how that reads. We'll go ahead and take was there a second with that one?
Yes.
Thought we
me.
had,
Yep.
yeah.
It's me.
Okay, well, before.
Yes,
okay.
You
yes,
seconded the vote?
yes.
I did. Thank you.
Commissioner Curtis had seconded.
Would you like me to take a vote?
And so what we'll do now, as there's no further discussion, we'll go ahead and take a roll call vote. So would
Commissioner
someone-
Carpenter?
Roll call.
Yay. Curtis?
Yay.
Anderson, absent. Boron, yay. Lors?
Yay.
Seehafer?
Yes.
And Chairman Johnson?
Yes.
Okay. Passes unanimously.
Yes, it does.
Mm-hmm.
I get to say that.
I don't know, that's why I was looking at you. I don't know yet.
Anyhow, all right.
So I'll just say, for the applicant, we hope this will be on the village board agenda on Tuesday night.
All right.
right.
Now, and now we.
Never hurts, but it's not necessarily,
You should, and you should speak.
Do we do that now, or should we? Yeah. All right,
think
now,
it's-
now, we're not done, we have to do approval of findings of fact.
so if you can go.
So, do you have a motion approving the findings of fact?
Do I have a motion?
No, these are
There's,
commissioners. Commissioners, there has to be a finding of fact.
Yeah, there has to be, and there's,
Okay.
yeah, actually, that was included in my draft motion, but what you can say is something, I motion that the Plan Commission, ZBA, forward the findings as discussed and stated on pages, I think it's 3 and 4 of the staff report.
yes.
Just-
Does
that's the
someone like
simplest
to
way
make
to do
that
it.
motion?
Then I just cut and paste.
Someone will
So-
want to
so if
make that
someone wants
motion? It's just findings of fact. It's
So
what you
is it,
normally
we
do.
seconded that? Is that the?
We need a motion, first of all, from one of the commissioners. So you want a motion?
Sure.
Commissioner Curtis?
Sure.
All right. Someone would like to second it?
I'll second.
All right. Commissioner Carpenter seconds it. Any discussion? All right. Then, very good. Let's take a voice vote on that. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign, and the motion carries. Okay. With that, do I have a motion to close the public hearing? Oh, we did that one, yeah, we did that one, yeah.
I do have something additional I'd like to speak about if we can. Is there?
Yes, any other,
Sure, I wanted to give
Questions?
another reminder for people to do their FOIA and OMA certificates. Now that I've been appointed secretary, I wanted to make sure things are, done right. And I have copies of the January 24th email that I sent everybody with the instructions to do that. So, do you guys want to know who has done it and who hasn't, or?
I don't know that I have. Can
Okay, you
email
have
it to me?
90 days, because you're brand new.
Yeah.
We don't have either FOIA or OMA for you, Peggy. Jerry, we don't
I
have a
did both.
current OMA.
I
She-
did both. I
she
just
got-
didn't have
you just didn't have the
paperwork.
certificate,
Yeah,
okay.
I printed out the wrong one, I
Okay,
guess.
because the last one they have, just for the file folder, they've got for 2017 for you. And as commissioner, or chairman rather, you have to do it yearly, both of them yearly. Mike Curtis, we have both. Dave Lors, you have 90 days to do it. Joe, you need a FOIA. They don't have it, so whether it's record keeping or not, you gotta do the FOIA. Neil's not here, but he has neither. So, yeah.
All right,
And generally speaking, to follow statute, that has to be done in 90 days from your appointment. So if you're reappointed as
I
the,
have the certificates that I sent to.
it might just
Tracy.
be a clerical thing, so.
Okay, I'll check my.
You sure? I thought it was missing one.
I thought you said you did it. Oh, you thought, if you don't have that, then you have to do FOIA as well.
Send me an email of how to get into it. because
Yeah, so I have, I mean, it's real simple.
Do you want the copies?
No, her,
Okay.
yeah, but here's the instructions, so it's easy to do.
Would you be kind enough to send those links out again?
Sure, I have the paper for you. You don't need it.
Do you have those?
No, I should be good. Try to print that thing out.
Thank you.
That's it.
All right, great, thank you for reminding everybody on that. And all, it's a good way to have something to do in the evening when you have nothing else to do. Just try printing out the damn thing, that's the problem. All right, so with that, is there any other, yes?
One more
Yes,
thing.
please.
I would like to arrange training for the commission. I like to do this every 12 to 18 months or so. The Illinois chapter of the American Planning Association has a team that comes out. There's rotating people. There's normally a land use attorney that comes out, and then a planner. They have a kind of a standard presentation that they can deviate from. The standard deviation would cover the basics, what's a plan unit development, what's a special use, what's a variation, what are findings of fact, what are some of the thresholds, conduct of the meeting, a little bit of Robert's rules. But if there's any particular topic that you would like me to have them focus on, I could pass that on, and they could add something to their presentation or take something out and do it. So if I could get something arranged for October, I would do it kind of short notice, but I would anticipate sometime by the end of January, we would have some training arranged. So is there any particular topic that you would like to hear about, or just general stuff?
Are we combining with Lily Lake and?
I would like to do it, yeah, that's been brought up, and I sent them an email, I never got a response, I'll reach out to them again.
Okay.
And since we have a ongoing issue over what is the use of a variance and what is the use of special use, that kind of thing, because we
Yeah.
constantly get that questions,
Yeah.
and it's so hazy.
Yep.
In terms of most people's minds.
Yep.
And all, that, would be good to hear.
I'd be interested in knowing more about the subdivision ordinances, which I think is something the Plan Commission should be actually doing, and the comprehensive plan, which we should also be doing, because it's quite stale.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
I would like to know about non-conforming things. I would be a little more familiar with non-conforming. Or is that, maybe that might be specific to our ordinance we're gonna be passing.
No,
so-
those are fine.
Okay.
Their standard presentation normally covers the comprehensive plan, and non-conforming uses, we can go into that. So subdivision code, subdivisions, yeah, fine.
Yeah, because, let's see, the subdivision,
It will keep you posted.
subdivision code, if I recall, was largely put together and approved of by the board. if I remember.
Could be.
Then, yeah, then necessarily us getting, because I
No,
remember us going
it's
into it
normally
as
not.
deep as we did with
Yeah.
the zoning code and all. But, so, and then, anything else? Well, as you all know, we were very fortunate, dodged a bullet for the time being, that St. Charles is not all the way out to Elburn. And thank you all for any support you gave to help that and sit that out. So I'm sure none of this will be the last we've heard of anything. So always be ready for something new to come up and all. So with that, unless there's any other comments, thank you so much for coming out tonight and all. And do we have a motion to adjourn?
Yes.
See, they don't want to adjourn, they want to sit and talk for a while. Why are you egging me on like this?
I, a
Gee
motion to
whiz.
adjourn. I want to make a motion to adjourn. Is that what I said?
They want to
Oh,
go
we
home
got a
to the
second.
family, that's it. They were expecting another half hour off.
I just made a motion to adjourn.
Very good.
Seconded it.
Thank you.
All right, all in
Nice.
favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much.